Good evening and welcome to the Sunday night edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Plus ça change, plus ça même chose. The more things change, the more they stay the same. As once again we join you on a Sunday night, having had another disappointing Saturday afternoon. Had a couple of late call-offs. Callum, I hope, is joining us shortly, and that'll be the team, unless there's anybody in the chat that does fancy jumping on and hearing. We're going to talk about a number of things: Frank's tenure, transfer latest, but where this club goes from here. But first of all, can I introduce our special guest tonight, Gary Ward of Project Spurs. Good evening, Gary. How are you tonight?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a decent day, to be fair. Went out for lunch with my wife. I've done my back in though, so I'm struggling with a bit of that. Not too bad. I didn't have to watch Tottenham today, so that was a good thing. And a Man United one. Good on Michael Carrick. So yeah, that's cheered me up a bit.
Yeah, but so did Nottingham Forest, more to the point.
They did, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not looking at that one. Well, I am, but I'm trying not to. Trying to stay as positive as I can.
Yeah, we'll do our best. We'll absolutely do our best. And good evening, Adrian. How are you tonight?
Yeah, good evening all. Looking forward to getting to the show. I know there's lots of things to discuss, you know, of the game, any transfer news, blah, 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 and everything else. So I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the game yesterday. It feels like a defeat, first of all, Gary, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be going to any of these teams really in the bottom four, and not coming away with 3 points. We've struggled with them all. Wolves, we drew at home. West Ham, we lost at home. Burnley, we've drawn away. Forest, we've lost away. Be it that we've obviously beat West Ham away as well. Palace are starting to slip as well. Teams in and around us are winning. Obviously, we've got Leeds as well, but teams in and around us are starting to win, and it's getting worrying. We're 8 points off of that 18th spot, aren't we? We're only 3 points off where we finished last season, so there is some concern, definitely. But yesterday was another funny one. I just had this horrible feeling that we were going to draw that, and when it was 1-1, I thought, "Oh God, I've predicted it." So I predicted that on Last Word on Spurs. But we just didn't look strong enough in critical areas, especially at the back. Again, just struggled to get my head around how we were playing. I like the initial setup, the 3-4-2-1. I think that works for us with the players we've got, but. Yeah, there's concerns really everywhere. Are the players playing for him at this point? The fans are very much unhappy, which I'm sure we'll get into. But it's disappointing. It does feel like a loss. It does, because we shouldn't be losing to a team that's struggled to win in since October. They haven't won a game. So yeah, it does.
Dr. Tottenham strikes again. There was lots of things Gary said there that I want to talk about, but he introduced the formation. Adrian, because you've done this show every Sunday night with me for some time, and like Gary, I'm a big fan of us playing three at the back with the personnel we have, not just the number of quality central defenders, but our fullbacks are better suited to be wing backs. So what was your thoughts? I can put the team up for everybody, but
unlike Gary and yourself, I'm not a fan of five at the back, but it all depends on where you're playing this five at the back. I mean, it could be 5-4-1, couldn't it? I mean, like it could be 3-4-3. I mean, if you're going to do it, I'd actually prefer a 3-5-2. That would be me. That would be what I'd like. I think that would be it, and two up top, because to me, strikers nowadays are relying on you end up with one striker in the centre of the penalty area, unless you've got a late runner from midfield or the opposite winger coming in onto the box. If the other winger on the other side is putting the cross in, there's usually no one to put the ball in a box. I just don't get this modern style of boring horseshoe football, which is very robotic, where coaches out there, I'm sure Gary, who's a coach, could come up with better systems or better ways of trying. I'd be looking to progress the ball more through midfield, even if it meant putting an extra body in there. And when things aren't going well for you, stick an extra body in midfield. So I'm not saying all systems work and they all fail, depending on the strength of your squad and what way your squad can adapt. But I like 4-3-3. It is my favourite. Of 4-2-3-1. It is my favoured way of going. But it's subjective because all systems work and they all fail on their day, don't they? So, I mean, no one's right, no one's wrong on this here.
Yeah.
With the formation there, with the five across that you like, and I like a five across the 3-5-2, or if you need to, you could probably have an extra 10 in there. Is that we did play that. It just depends on the personnel that you would be choosing in that five, because Porro and Udogie work perfectly for a wing back position. Spence doesn't for me, because he's continuously needing to cut in as he was as a left back. We need balance on our wings, and that's with Udogie and Porro, or Udogie and Spence. That gives us the balance going through. And then if we do have the two number 10s as we did yesterday, that gives them a free rein to move around, which Xavi was doing quite a lot, and I thought Odegaard was too. But by doing that, and then having your two central midfielders in yesterday, which was obviously Bissouma and Gallagher, that allows us to overload in the middle in those tight areas. We had 4 against 3. But then if we did the 5, we would instantly have that 3-on-3, and then if we're tucking in a wing back, we're overloading again. So the whole idea behind those formations is really about overloads, and then overloading in central areas to then move it out wide. And it works because it allows Mickey van der Ven to progress on, and we saw a lot of that yesterday. Was trying to do overlaps, which allowed us to just slot back into a 3 at the back if needed to. It does work. It does need a lot of game time and persistence, and I thought Crystal Palace have been very, very good at it, especially last season when before they obviously a lot of the players left. But it is a formation that works for us, and it can work quite well. It just needs to be played more often. I was quite happy that he played it, actually. I just hope that it's a continuation that we do. That's where Thomas Frank is still the manager, because who knows comes in. It could be completely different. It could go back to a 4-3-3, or whatever Pochettino might want, or I don't know, whoever else might come in. So, if we've got Xavi Hernandez, we know that's a 4-3-3. So, yeah, it's as you say, the formations and setups are different depending on the manager, of course, but this fits our players. And I think I've put it up on here before, because I'm a big Football Manager fan. I play Football Manager. I know this sounds a bit strange, but it's still relevant to the conversation. I pick my system, and I get the players around my system. Whereas people I've played against before, like one of my good friends, he will always buy the players. He will always play a system that fits the players, and it's totally different things. And then we saw that with Ruben Amorim, right? He wanted to play his way and his way only. Michael Carrick's coming. Those players can't play like that. This is how we play. Michael Carrick is flying. So it just really depends, doesn't it, on individuals and how they want to play depending on those players.
Good evening, Callum. How are you? I gather you're not at your best.
No, I mean, Spurs killed me yesterday, and then I've had about 3 hours sleep in the last 24 hours thanks to a migraine. So I'm surviving, and somehow you'll have to excuse me. I've got tissue because I sliced my head open, shaving my head earlier as well. So I just thought I'd add something to it as well. I mean, Spurs have pushed me to this. Let's put it that way. I think it's done it all to us the last 24 hours, and I don't think we've had anything positive to hear, have we? Either out of it.
I think if a Spurs supporter phoned the Samaritans tonight, they'd probably tell you to jump. You know, it's got that bad. How long have you got, Cal? Because there's obviously some stuff I want to talk to you about. But if you've got to go,
can do it till about 8:45, mate, for you tonight.
8:45. Well, why don't we talk? Why don't we were talking about tactics and what have you? But why don't I start you off with the transfer latest, and in particular, what's happening with this elderly gentleman?
This one is weird because from what we all heard from obviously Ornstein is that realistically this was edging closer, and then Arne Slot came out yesterday and kind of threw a spanner in the works, saying he doesn't want any players to go. But then it's also been known tonight that Tsimikas is coming back from Roma, so they've ended his loan. He'll be back this week, I think, as well. I mean, the club are they're kind of pivoting a little bit. They are going for stability signings now, if anything, and this is where it's striking it. Realistically, because I think either they're going to buy a profile for, i.e. a man who we all love and dear, who we want to come in the summer, someone who can't be named at the moment, but I think we all know who we're talking about, or realistically they're going to buy squad signings. He is our special one. He is our special one, isn't he?
Yeah. I'd drive to America now for it if you ask me to.
On this talk, sorry to cut in here. On this talk, Callum, I mean, like, to me, I know I tend to think a bit differently because I explore angles on every debate we have and whatever we're discussing. But to me, the fact that Slot's come out or Van der Eyck's come out and all that is totally irrelevant to me. Because the club itself, I mean, look what we did with Ericsson. We got 16 million off of Milan 6 months before his cut. It was good business. He wanted to go, so it was good business. To me, I know it's talk of between 5 and 10 million. We know that's peanuts in the transfer window, but it's still good for Liverpool regarding financial fair play to get any money in. So to get 5 million in for a player who's 31, who's not going to be part of their team next season, I think this deal gets done, Callum, himself.
I reckon it. I think it will get pushed, but it's just it's what condition Tsimikas comes in that I think is going to dictate it. To be honest, because obviously he's out of favour anyway. They wanted rid of him. Kerkez isn't. He's a good player, but he ain't the finished article, is he? So realistically, Andy Robertson is their statesman left back, and I think all four of us have agreed. We've taken a lot of pelters back in this transfer in the last 5 or 6 days from a lot of our mates and other podcasters. But this is a no-brainer. This is like a very good deal that is low risk. You get him on an 18-month or just say a 12-month contract with a 1 to 2 year extension. It lets Udogie kind of focus on his recovery because we know he's not all there yet. He didn't look all there on Saturday when he played. We've also got a young left back who needs someone to learn from, and realistically, Udogie's not all there to learn from it. So I think it's a no-brainer, isn't it? So if the club can push it, they will do.
Even if you pay 10 mil, even if you pay 10 mil for him instead of. Sorry, go on, Gary.
I can't see any reason why a manager would come out and say anything other than "I need all my players." Especially someone that's as well respected and liked as Andy Robertson is at Liverpool. He's not going to come out and say, it's going. Nobody talks about transfers anymore. So I think he's just saying just the normal standard routine of, I need all my players.
Gary, you'd have seen some of the stuff on social media, or another bad signing. I'm with Cal on this, and I think Adrian's with me too. There just doesn't seem to be a downside to this deal at all.
This guy's a proven winner, isn't he? At the end of the day, he's a proven winner.
Captain.
2 Premier Leagues, Champions League, Super Cup, Charity Shield, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, World Club Cup, Scotland captain, over 360 appearances for Liverpool. That's not looking at his stuff at Hull. The leader, as I said, current captain there, vice captain at Liverpool, 31 years old. Big thing as well, he's left-footed.
Yeah.
Huge.
And
5 million quid.
You look at other players that age, they can play. You can give them a 2-year contract with a 2-year option on top of his age. You look at John O'Shea, you look at Henderson, players like that, James Milner, right? Players like that.
Casemiro's 34.
And I mean, Thiago came in at 30 odd years of age as well, didn't he? I mean, nowadays with the diet, nutrition, and the science, if these players look after themselves, they can play into their mid-30s.
He's played 22 games this season as well. He's playing. He's not like, and a lot of the arguments were that, we're getting rid of a 31-year-old to bring a 31-year-old in. I get that, but Ben Davies isn't playing regular football. There's a big difference there. He's not playing regular. Ben Davies came in and was probably one of the best players in our team for 2 weeks. And that just shows him. But Andy Robertson's a fantastic player. We are crying out for leadership. We're crying out for somebody that is a winner and that is proven winner and mentality. He brings that. Good thing as well. He's quite good mates with John Heitinger, apparently. So that's
that's handy. It's handy as well. Particularly if Frank goes and we don't have anybody. All right, let's move on from Andy Robertson. I mean, you would think if that was going to happen, that'll happen Monday or Tuesday before everybody heads off to Frankfurt. Cal, let me bring you back in then on the transfer latest comments. And one thing, your friend Rudolph put a fairly lengthy post on X this morning, saying that with everything that was going on, we're not likely to be doing very much now after all. One, because of the insecurity over Frank's position, but secondly, they were planning in their budgets for us winning quite a few of the matches that we haven't won, that Gary referred to earlier over the last 6 weeks, and therefore our league position is much more precarious. No champion, unlikely to be any European income, and at this stage, for some of us, just making sure we finish in the top 16 or 17 will be enough, because we're in free fall. What's the latest you've got on that?
Same sort of thing that I've heard, to be honest, mate. Realistically, why risk yourself spending a lot of money when you don't even know where you stand? That's the position we're in now. It's that we have fallen off so much. Like, I mean, we all spoke about this, back in December. This was a great run we could have had, and we could have got 12, 15 points from this. Realistically, we've come away with 1 or 2. It's a joke. And yes, we qualified for the Champions League, but realistically, we've had one of the easiest runs in that. That should have been a given for our squad to at least get round of 16, something like that. But the league position screwed us big time. I mean, we are either targeting clubs like Crystal Palace, Adam Walton, who they have their own problems. And I mean, their problems are humongous. They can't get players in to replace what they've lost. They've got players who want to go, who they can't afford to sell either. So they're precarious. They're being completely decimated today. And I mean, Adam Walton's suspended anyway. So, I mean, he wouldn't even be able to play for us if we got him in this week as it is. But it's realistically that we're going to still try and be active in the next week or so. But I think it'll be profile signings, not a Frank signing or anything like that, because his position is that precarious. and so untenable at the moment. Why would you cough up and give him 100 million when he could be gone in a week or 2 weeks?
Yeah, that
It's
makes
just bad.
sense, Gary.
Yeah, from I mean, just if we look at this logically, right? If I don't think, Ian, you're going to be the right man for my business, I'm not going to give you 50 quid to go and put on I don't know, to buy something for us that you think is right. If I'm not, just thinking about something logically, I can't envision them going, right, okay, we're going to go spend 50 million on Magnus Akaliush because Thomas Frank wants it. I can see us going and spend 5 million on Andy Robertson because it's 5 million, and it's not a huge deal. But I just can't see them spending a lot of money when the 99.9% of me doesn't think he'll be the manager next season. He certainly won't be here into January in the summer. So I just can't see them spending money for him. The only reason I believe he's probably in the job right now is because of the Champions League, like Cal was saying. We have had some of the easier run. And then we're going there on Wednesday against a team that's just sacked their manager, that's out of the Champions League, that's performing quite poorly in Eintracht Frankfurt. And he's, if he wins that, he gets another couple of £1 million to the club, and then more money for qualifying. Top 8? I think we will if we're lucky.
Top 8 we're in, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't see them spending any money this week outside of Andy Robertson. That's albeit quite a small figure. I know 5 million to us for is absolutely huge, but to a football club of that size, it's peanuts.
Yeah, I mean, let me bring you in on one point, Adrian. I mean, and this is perhaps the point, is Thomas Glasner's made it abundantly clear that he's leaving in the summer, come hell or high water. Why would any player go to Palace? And if you know what's happening at Tottenham, why would any player want to come to Tottenham right now?
Well, Palace are in free fall. I think it's fatal to announce a manager to announce that he's leaving at the end of the season. Players will take their foot off the gas. I mean, and I think Palace are in serious danger of getting relegated as well now. With us coming to us, well, if we know we're not going to get elite players in, but we've got Conor Gallagher and he's still trying to find his feet. He will, but he's taken his time. Mind you, it's only a couple of games. Maybe that's a bit unfair. But so they will come to us. But we're looking at the below elite level player now. We're looking at players that we can bump up with wages and get to come in because we are Tottenham Hotspur. There are lots of players that have come to us. Akaliush would come to us. And the other thing is, like, I get that not wanting to spend it on a manager, but they're all club signings really at clubs. It's a myth. Like, a manager might get one player in. I mean, like Ange got Solanke in, didn't he? But any other signings, you don't give the manager the checkbook to go out and wreck your club. If you give them a free checkbook and you give it to Conte and Mourinho, they'd bankrupt you anyway, right? So, yeah, I mean, and we know, don't we? We know as fans, we know what positions we need to fill. We do need another left winger, and that's been on the list. So I don't want Enoch getting out of jail if they were to sack Frank and say, we didn't spend money because we're getting a new manager in, because that is just total BS. Right, they can't be let off the hook in this transfer window. The recruitment team will have done their list of players. And the other thing that gets me as well, when we start getting new players mentioned in low-tier media now, which has got to be bullshit, unless it's someone we've really looked at in the past, because to be looking at different players now, it would be a sad indictment of our recruitment team. They should have their lists and know what they're going for. So, we all know we need a left winger. We all know we could do a top-class striker, right? And we may even get another, versatile midfielder. I hope we get our clues personally, but back to you, Ian, before I ram on.
Yeah, no, far from. I'm actually looking at some of the comments. Usually we're getting so many comments these days to start going through them. But good evening to all of you in the chat. I must say that. And there's 322 of you watching on various forums. I'm sure a few of you are watching on Gary's forum. That's his channel. I know you've got your own Twitter handle or X handle and what have you, but that's where you can pick up Gary at YouTube at Project No Vowels PRJCT Spurs. Please like and subscribe to Gary's channel. It really is excellent. Lots of really
January.
Say that again.
So just quickly on the January point, because I'll end up forgetting. Yeah. Absolutely, that we would sign players for the club, but we've got to also, and I'm not suggesting that it is Thomas Frank making this decision. He'll be the one that signs off, but we've got to sell this to the player. If we're looking at whoever, Conor Gallagher, for instance, or Akayush, or whatever it is, as the leadership, they've got to sell the club to that player. And if that player is essentially saying, well, who's the manager going to be? And we're like, well, it might be. That's a big thing for a lot of the players, because you don't want to come in thinking, oh, I'm going to get some minutes under Thomas Frank. I've spoke to him. I'm going to come in. And then 3 weeks later, Javi Hernandez walks in, or whoever, and he doesn't fancy him. We've seen that with Nuno at West Ham. James Ward-Prowse just never played, doesn't fancy him, sits there and doesn't play. So yes, the clubs are signing them, but the managers have to be part of that decision, obviously. But the player has to be sold the project, and the project Spurs. But I just can't see how we're selling that to anyone at the moment. I just can't. There's such uncertainty with him as a manager, and you only have to sort of sit and watch a game, and you can hear that the away fans are chanting, "We want, you're getting sacked in the morning," and things like that. It's going to be a very interesting week.
Another important point to add to that, Gary, is the fact that if he does go, I think he'll go in the summer, but others are thinking he's going to go earlier than that. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's going, though. He's going, right? Simple. But an important point is it's not just the fact that the transfer window finishes on the 2nd of February at 7 o'clock UK time. It's on the 5th. We've got to register our ECL squad.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a complex issue on its own now anyway, with the amount of foreign players we've got. So what's your take on that? Because that makes things more difficult if a new manager or interim comes in. I'm not a fan of interim. We should have a ready-made manager ready here.
We should, but I think Cal made a really good point at the beginning that I don't think there's been a contingency ready because they didn't expect it to go as badly as it has. And I feel that by making the change from Ange to Thomas Frank, they automatically kind of thought, well, if we can just get ourselves into that top 8 and we can get Europe, doesn't matter if it's Conference or Europa League, it's an improvement from last season and we can build upon that. I don't think they had any form of contingency ready for what's happening. I don't agree that we should have an interim, but I can't see any progression at the moment, both in the stands, by looking at body language of players, being on any podcast that I've been on a lot recently, it seems to be all the same. You can go on Twitter for all of 30 seconds and see it. It's very fractured. It just needs a reset. He's a lovely bloke by all accounts. I just don't think he's been able to get this right, unfortunately. And
you talking about Thomas Frank?
Yeah, Callum says it really well. It's just you have to pull that Band-Aid off. Just rip it off. Because at the moment we're putting a little Band-Aid over it and thinking, well, just beat Frankfurt.
Yeah, it's all right. We've got a plaster over a severed artery at the moment. That's the problem. And I mean, like what Gary's saying, realistically, if they are going to make signings this summer or this January, so we go back to the drawing board and we say, right, we've got 2 experienced, 1 youngster. We can register 3 players in the Champions League to come back in, so 3 replacements. So just say we say Tell, Gallagher, Robertson, you drop out Davis, Bentancur, and I don't know, someone else, because realistically, Kulusevski is still not back. We would have hoped to have had him by now. Frank said 4 weeks ago he had an injection. Turns out said injection is now that he's probably had open heart surgery, knowing our medical team in that respect. But realistically, Tell, Gallagher and Robertson go into the squad. We can't use that amendment or that dispensation that we had last round because it doesn't apply. Even if a long injury is in place, you can't change out anyone after in the round of 16 now, only in the group stages. So we are screwed. So it's got to be younger profile players, people who can come in and play under 2 to 3 different managers at a young age and not be influenced by it, as long as you're looking at your next managers playing youth. Because realistically, someone, I think it might have been Gary or someone, made a very good point to me the other day that Brentford haven't had an academy under Thomas Frank previously. They scrapped all of their setup. They're now a category B, not even a category A academy, and they only started their academy in 24-25 season. So realistically, he's always had young players, but with more pedigree or exposure to first team, like Keane Lewis Potter had it at Hull, Coyote had it at Fiorentina before he came as well. So Thiago had it wherever he came from as well. So realistically, Frank's not done enough with young players, has he? And we know that for a fact. So if we are going to do it, then you buy young, or you buy that sort of 21 to 23 bracket, like an Akliouche, like Adrian said. You get them in acclimatized for 6 months, ready for the summer. Because unless we have some freak luck where we can go and storm the Champions League like we did with the Europa League, which, and this is no disrespect to anyone watching, we ain't got a fucking hope in hell. It's just not possible. But unless we do that, then we're just going to have to climb the table, see as far as we can get in the Premier League, hopefully secure top 5 because of coefficient ratings this year, because apparently we're going to have I think it's going to be 5 or 6 places to Champions League this year for England based on point system. So realistically, we've just got to make the best of a bad bunch. And the interim idea of Frank staying on and then we put Heitinger involved, it doesn't really sit right with me. So if we're going to, then you get rid of Frank, you get rid of anything that's still attached to him, and you bring in someone who is Spurs. It could be Mason, Lewis, Burnett, Davis, someone like that. But realistically, we just got to make something happen. And I don't see us getting high-profile signings now. I think that time is done.
On that, Callum, though, when people say hope, I say hope it's not a strategy, right? But we should be looking at, apart from players we've looked at, because a lot of the players we looked at are quality players, but they probably won't come to us, right? But we should be looking at players in a situation that are on the fringe of their teams that want to make their World Cup squads and not getting in there, so as we can get that sort of just below elite player into this club. What do you think?
There's probably opportunities for that, like anywhere. Andy Robertson, I would say, could be a opportunity like that, because obviously he is sort of competing with Kirkes for first team spot. He needs it for Scotland because this is the first time they qualified. I know Ian's going to be celebrating them, even though he is English. He will be celebrating the Scots because he is mentally unbalanced, as we know anyway. But realistically, but then what do we do? Do we say we fuck off Rando Colomani and try and get someone like that? I've seen links tonight to clubs in Italy for Yannick Carrasco. So, do you take someone like that who's a little bit older but a quality player for Belgium? Where do we stand? It's just like there's always opportunities. It's just what you're willing to do. And I don't really want us to waste humongous money on loan fees either, because realistically, these players could have such a poor attitude. They turn up when they want to, only when they're, just say, the national team managers sitting in the stands, and then all the other time we're stuck with Dross.
I'm half Scots, by the way. My mum's Scots, so just so you know.
So you are unbalanced anyway, so that's all right.
Well, yeah. That's
and
okay.
You're drinking water, Ian. You're drinking water on Robbie Burns Day. It's Robbie Burns Day today, 25th.
Yeah, I had a whiskey earlier. I'll finish it later. But
you're part Scottish and you're wearing a Canadian maple leaf shirt. So
this is true.
Tonight? You're all over the place.
He likes Jonathan David.
Oh God!
Don't. Good goal today, Scott.
My daughter in the chat says she agrees with you, by the way, that I'm unbalanced. So that's fine, and she knows as well as anybody. But as I would say, Nat, takes one to know one. But there you go. Let's go back to the game yesterday, if I can. I want to talk later about the board, Cal. I know you were talking stuff, and you may not be around to discuss it. But if you're not, we'll pick this up again, because I'm starting to worry seriously about the dysfunctionality of the entire leadership. I looked at the board, and there are the only football person on that board is Vinay. And he's the only football person at all, and it was him that decided, I think pretty well, that they wanted Ange out and he wanted Frank in. That was his man, along with Langer, who knows him from his Bromby days, fellow Dane. And I think that's part of the reason why we're in serious trouble, is because we've got one person making the big football decisions, who's decided it was his decision. So he wants to give, of course, he wants to give Frank time to turn it round, because it was his appointment, and probably he went a long way to persuading Levy to sack in Ange, to bring in the manager to compete on four fronts who's never competed on one front before. So that's I want to discuss it later, but I just don't know if you want to comment on that, Cal, in case you're not here later when I bring the other boys in on it.
I mean, it's a very valid point, and I mean, they'll always keep referring to how long Vinay gave Arteta at Arsenal, but I don't think that Arteta was ever sitting down in 15th or 16th after half a season. It was that he got 8th or 6th in his first season. It was, and we don't want to talk about them lot down the road, but realistically, yes, they have stuck with a project. They will probably be bridesmaids again this year, hopefully. But realistically, they've stuck with him, but we've taken a whole different approach again. So we went for the attacking manager who won us something, who wins something everywhere. Okay, fine. So we've had possession managers in the past, or defensive managers under Levy. Fine. Frank was meant to be the project. Project isn't working out how they want. It's realistically nowhere near as good as it was going to be. Yes, he said that we would probably lose games, but we didn't expect this much. But the way that it needs to be is that if you're going to stick by someone, you back them. If you don't believe in them, you move them out. Simple as that. And that's where I think the question for all fans is coming at, that realistically, we don't know where they stand, because they made that statement in the match day program, didn't they? Saying we would make quality signings, we've allocated funds, everything like that. Well, what have we seen? We haven't seen anything. And it's now a lot of different links coming in saying that the board is so fractured on Frank. There was a meeting apparently last night. Apparently there was meetings today as well. It's that you've got Nick Bucher, who is having a say. He is not an ENIC employee. He is a Tavistock employee. He's married to Viv's daughter, and so direct link to Lewis family. There's obviously Vinay. There's what's his name? Who's the non-executive chairman? Is it Robert?
Peter Carrington. It's
Peter
there. I've got
Carrington.
the board. I've got the board up there. Sorry for the chat. We're going to go with people coming and going. We're going to go a little bit here, there, and everywhere. But that was what I was alluding to earlier, Cal. You've got Peter Charrington, non-executive chairman, who I think is very much someone that Joe Lewis was involved with. You've got Vinay, who's the chief executive officer. You've got Matthew Caldecott, who's the operations and finance director. Then Jonathan Turner, who is an independent director. Now, I have no idea what that means. I've only had a business career for pushing 40 years. And I don't know what an independent director is. I know what a non-exec is, and I know what an exec is, but I don't know independent of what, and independent to whom. But his background is an investment banker. And then you've got Eric Hinson, who is a non-executive director, who is a specialist in global aviation. So that's the board. And it's, in my view, there's where the problem is there's no one there other than Vinay with any football knowledge or football experience whatsoever. So is it any wonder that they're taking his advice on, first of all, recruiting Frank, bad error, sacking Ange, bad error, and keeping Frank in situ, bad error. There's no one there. There's no one there to advise the board. You're making a cock up of this, other than the results on the pitch.
Well, I mean, remember, Levy said we'll realise how good we had it when he was gone. And we are not happy clappers, but realistically, Levy was the best of a bad bunch by the look of this, because realistically, the closest people that you've got to football advisors on this is Fabio and Langer. So Langer is has been a under 21s and academy director, and has knowledge of youth football with talent ID. And you've then got on the other side of that Fabio Paratici, who is outgoing with a lot of extensive football knowledge of Italy and Europe, is leaving the club. So you've got a lot of people who are business orientated, but football wise, there is always going to be questions. And this is what I've always questioned on directors of football we've had in the past, because a lot of them have not had football experience either. They've been businessmen. Paul Mitchell is one of the only ones who has had football knowledge. The rest of them are businessmen or board execs who think that they can do a transfer deal because it's all about figures. It's not just about football profiling and everything like that. And that's where the
biggest issue there is that somebody's watched the Moneyball film, read the book about 700 times, and think that everything is data driven now, that they can run it through an Excel spreadsheet and we can pick the next Lionel Messi because we've watched it's been done in baseball. It doesn't work realistic. Yes, look at Barcelona. Look at their directors of football. Deco, probably one of the best midfielders of his generation. Before that, Eric Abidal, absolute rock of a centre-back, left-back. Before that, Andy Zubizarreta, one of the best goalkeepers Spain's ever had. Before that, Tiki Busquets didn't do too bad with Man City. That's just using Barcelona as an example. They're all football. Tiki Busquets also played something like 100 odd games for Barcelona too. These are all football-minded people that know what they're doing, but above them they've got suits like these people on this screen here that are backing it and going, okay, here's the money. Arsenal, we use Arsenal as an example. They had Edu, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was backed. The club backed him. Then they've gone to whoever's there now.
They got the Atletico Madrid guy and all that. I mean, we've got out in Germany, Niko Kovac. We've got Lars Ricken. There is Oliver Kahn. That's the thing. There is so many people out there who are very good at doing this. And I mean, the last person who was football orientated in that sort of director of football role is Paul Mitchell for us. So literally, that's where we've got
biggest problem. I think the biggest issue that I've had is that we got quote unquote lucky. We had a generational centre forward in our academy that nobody really expected to turn into what he did, apart from one person in Tim Sherwood. We went out and spent minimal amounts of money on a Welsh left back that we were going to sell because he was useless, until all of a sudden he turned into a global superstar. We've bought a Korean guy from Germany that we thought could have some promise about him, and we bought a Danish midfielder in that again we thought might turn into something. And we've tried to replicate that time and time again, and we're not backing that up with the right appointments in the dugout to get the best out of these players, and we're not using our academy. and we're going and looking at these people here on screen for advice. No doubt about it. If I need an investment advice, I would go see Jonathan Turner because I'm sure he'd be independent to that. Or if I needed to build a plane, I'm sure that Eric Hinson. I don't want to build a plane, and I don't need financial advice. I want to spend my £100 a week go to watch the football team, and I want to see a winning football team on that pitch. These are suits. They worry about one thing and one thing only. It's about how much money they can put in their pocket at the end of the financial year. And me, as a mug, continuously give them that money because I want that this the hope that kills us.
Yeah, I had an exchange with you on X earlier, Gary. When if we look that it would appear that the dream is to bring Pochettino back to the club, and if that's the case, I said to you that I would love to see them put together Paul Barber, who couldn't work with Levy and is doing an amazing job, absolutely amazing job at Brighton. And I'm sure he could be persuaded for the right job to come back. And Paul Mitchell as director of football, in charge of the recruitment department and what have you. To me, that would be the holy trinity. As far I know it's going backwards, and I'm not in favour of going backwards, but putting those people together, all of whom left the club with unfinished business, partly because one, Mitchell's case and Barber's case, they couldn't work with Levy, and in Pochettino's case, he wasn't given the chance to finish the job because he said, "I need new players to take the job further." And Levy says, "I've got a stadium to build. I'll get Mourinho, who tells me I don't need new players."
Yeah, I mean, Ian, there's a lot of other. Sorry, Gary, just a quick one. There is a lot of other people that we've lost in the past, and quite a few of them ended up at Liverpool. Alex Inglethorpe, their head of youth development, cracking bloke for us. John McDermott ended up for the FA. Michael Edwards, the director of football operations for Liverpool FSG Group. Spurs, first team scout, data analyst. He was one of the first ones that did data analytics for us in a proper way after 2010, I think it was. So these are all people that we have lost over the years who have all been quality footballing people. A lot have been replaced by suits, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, Crystal
But
Palace.
is it? Let me ask you a question. Sorry. Gary, let me ask a question before, because Friedman's a good example as well. But let me put a question to all of you, because Adrian might want to come in as well. That my understanding is a lot of these people have left the club, partly at least because of Levy's constant micromanaging of them, rather than being left to do the job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody's heard that multiple times, multiple people, and it is the case. Just answering your question about Pochettino, one of the reasons, there's a couple of reasons really I'm calling for it to come home. One, he unites a large section of the fan base almost instantly. There's enough credit in the bank there that the fans will know what he wants, the way that he plays, the way he handles the situations, the way he speaks. There's credit in the bank that we'll understand if there's any negativity coming from him in terms of, look, this is going to take me some time, as he did after the Champions League final. And obviously there is a rebuild, which has been quite clearly spoken about by Vinay. But for me, the most important aspect of that is I don't know any active manager on the planet that loves this football club as much as he does. To me, that is a hugely important thing. If you can see in every interview he speaks about this club is with nothing but joy and love, and he wants to desperately come back and finish what he started. And there's a lot of people that struggle to work with Daniel Levy, maybe for the same reasons. If they had the opportunity to come back, they would. The problem we've got is there are information that I've heard as well, and I'm sure Callum has, that the club is still micromanaged. It's just now being micromanaged by somebody's son-in-law, and hopefully that son-in-law loves Mauricio Pochettino as much as Mauricio loves his football club, because if he does, I think there'll be a good bit of back in there. But yeah, for me, I
Sorry,
can't.
Gary. Who's the son-in-law? I've lost it.
Nick
Who's?
Bell.
Oh,
Nick
he's Joe. Oh, he's Vivian's
Yeah.
son-in-law, isn't he?
Well,
Yeah.
there's
Sorry.
he's micromanaging a lot of things that's going on at the club.
One thing
Yeah.
to back Gary up as well is remember Pochettino had a very close relationship with the Lewis family through Daniel as well. He was always going over to, is it the Bahamas that they've got like an island or something like that?
Harrington's a lawyer out there, isn't he? Peter
Yeah.
Charrington's a lawyer in the Bahamas for Tavistock.
Yeah, so Pochettino had the best relationship with these guys since Redknapp, realistically. So it all plays into our hands. The thing that stops us moving for Pochettino at the moment is the USA. That's all it is. But we can still move in respect of acquiring him now, like putting the groundwork in, having a pre-agreement. Because, I mean, was it that they City sacked Roberto Mancini or said he was leaving and Pep Guardiola was already signed up to come in from like February or March time? Something like that. So there is ways to do stuff like this. It's just about being creative, being clever.
You have to do it quietly as well.
But I was going to say, Adrian, you might want to come in. You haven't had a say on this for a bit, and I want to pick up some of the things in the chat.
Right? Let's go on his track record. Right, in 5.5 seasons before he got sacked in November, he cleared out 35 players in his club, and he transformed this football club. He raised our expectations in Europe. Before we were happy if we could claw our way into the Europa League, right? He raised our expectations, right? He got a second, third, and fourth, right? And he wasn't back for 518 days in the transfer window. So what? And people say, oh, he never won nothing, Spurs, blah, blah. Hang about. What would he do if he was backed? And Ndombele was a signing too late, and Lo Celso was only fully signed under Mourinho anyway, right? He wasn't backed at all. And what he did, I think what he did was fantastic. Look, it's the last time I really enjoyed going to watch football with his club was under Pochettino. You knew the system. It was 4-2-3-1. We had the desk up front, didn't we? We had Dele Alli, Ericsson, Son, and Kane, right? And you knew. And even when it didn't work and we lost, we knew that we tried out there. We tried. We see the effort. I mean, not every team wins every game they play. And I just think he'd walk across Red Hot Coal's bare feet to come back to this football club. And he's the easiest option to get in rather than trying to convince people in a Spurs project, other managers. Look, there's some excellent choices. There'll be so many choices out there in the summer. This is why I don't think the board are going to sack Frank. If they could get an agreement now with Poch privately, I mean, you don't want it made public because that affects the players. It would affect Frank. It would affect everything, right? You don't want what's happened to Glasner at Palace to be known that, like, Frank's going at the end of the season or whatever. And like, if they've got an agreement in place now, then by all means sack Frank now and put Wayne Burnett in or Heitinga into the end of the season or whatever it is. If you've got that agreement, we're not going to be told this though. So we're going to
things. Sorry, Gary, you wanted to come in there.
Oh no! I was just reading. There's actually some news just came up on my news feed about Pochettino within the last couple of hours. Actually, he was being asked. Basically, the article reads: "You get to sense that Mauricio Pochettino is not a very good poker player. 6 months out from leading the USA to the World Cup on home soil, Pochettino was asked to choose one thing he would like to achieve for the rest of his managerial career. To appear, to be tapped in, appearances they can be deceived, to win the Premier League and the Champions League, to come back to Tottenham."
Yeah.
and
he loves us.
Just to add to that, Conor Gallagher was his captain at Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few things in the chat, and as I say, I don't like to overdo the chat simply because there's so much of it, and I don't like ignoring half the people. But this question, sorry, who's this fella from Manchester City that has come in? So actually, he's gone a bit under our radar. Does anyone know anything about him and what his job is? Because he's not director of football.
two, innit? We took Simon Davis from Man City.
No.
Not him,
Morrison. Rafi Morrison is their 5
Yeah.
He's the new director of football operations, so he's taking over Scott Munn's, i.e., dissolved role. It's a new one where he will overview a lot of different links for scout department, but be responsible for a lot of negotiations in terms of player sides as well. So, I mean, realistically, he's going to handle player contract talks. He will do player overview. He'll do player liaison and other operations within the club as well. There's someone else that we took on. I think his name's Lewinson or something like that from City Group as well. He's someone that me and Gary were very interested in because he's linked to the player development side where he will be responsible for pathways and also linked to the women's game as well. Yeah. So
he'll probably work with Stuart Lewis and things like that.
Stuart Lewis, Simon Davis as well, and Dan Lewington. That's it, right? And there's who's the bloody under-18s coach now?
Lewis?
No, Lewis is first team now, but he's development pathways link.
Pathways, yeah.
Oh, what the hell's his name?
Jamie Carr.
So I mean, he's not doing too bad with them either, to be honest.
And they played well on Friday. They're unbeaten. They've not conceded this year. 3 games in a row, I think, without conceding. They've done quite well on Friday. I think it was a 3-0 win against Norwich.
They could win that league, the under-18s.
Yeah, but my son-in-law's just sent me a WhatsApp message saying, "What's all this talk about Pochettino? He's manager of Argentina." Steve, he's manager of the United States of America, and as far as I understand, he's managing the United States into the World Cup, and that's the end of it. So he'll be available after the World Cup, and it won't be everybody's choice, but I think he's somebody that will unite the club. Apart from anything else, he's shown on more than one occasion that he's desperate to come back to the club.
This issue with the owners and those people, I wouldn't have an issue with them, with Enoch up there, if they were like Man City's owners, Newcastle's owners, who let the football team get on with it and throw loads of money at the football club. Right? So this is the issue. What we're questioning is like Vinay, really, and the guys he's got working under him, because owners are owners. I mean, they don't necessarily have to know it. Obviously, they are football fans, but like, I mean, Joe Lewis is supposed to be a Spurs fan. Yeah, well, what's he done? You know what I mean? Like, so
embezzlement.
Yeah.
So,
it's like you alluded to earlier. It's about getting the right director of footballs in and getting all the structure below Vinay and right. And people question Lang. I mean, I don't know if people have been a bit harsh on Lang. I mean, he's got a load. Bergvall coming. There's players that have come in, and don't forget we've shipped a lot of players out under Langer. He has done a lot of work, but people say, well, he went left Villa. If he was any good, he would stayed at Villa. I get that, but we don't really. It's like we don't really know how much work he's put in. He must have been doing something right. He survived Levy, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? So he survived the coal. So he must be doing something right to hang on to his job.
Well, let's put it this way. Langer is annoying Crystal Palace fans at the moment because I've just seen on X from someone 35 million on Brennan fucking Johnson. I reckon signing is Brennan fucking Johnson. Paris should have been sacked for that alone. We have somehow managed to crucify Crystal Palace with selling Brennan Johnson.
He was bad today. He was bad today.
I didn't see it.
The games for them. That's the problem.
I was doing
Langer, ole, ole. Langer, ole, ole.
Clear out. I was having a little clear out and add it on, and it was bad. It was a Johnson performance, unfortunately.
Do you know, if he'd have started yesterday, that chance we made in 13 seconds, he'd have been at the back post putting that in the net. That was a cross for Johnson to tap in, like after Van der Ven's run at Old Trafford in the first few minutes a couple of years back.
Yeah, well, on the game here, and we had 18 shots, 11 on target. Dubravka makes 9 saves, and I'm thinking, why didn't we win this? How do we not win this game?
Yeah.
Crossbar as well from Xavi.
Yeah.
Having
said that, there are a couple of positives recently, guys, amongst all the doom and gloom. But more people are more doom and gloomy than I am, right? But I've been pleased with Xavi's performances recently, and we know Tell's stepped up, but now we're seeing signs in Odegaard as well. We're seeing signs of him. I mean, like, he looked sharp yesterday. He looked a bit confident, and they're still developing these players. And that's one of the issues we've had. I mean, 5 kids. How many teams are going to put 5 kids in their squad? You got Xavi, Tell, Odegaard, Gray, Bergvall. You know, five kids. Xavi's now looks like he's finding
really
and he's putting tackles in. He's putting tackles in, Gary, isn't he, Xavi? You know,
he's stepped up. He's got fitter. He's got more acclimatized to the Premier League, which helps him even further in the Champions League. I say he's stepped up, but also he's becoming a bit of a leader as well. In terms of he's demanding that ball and he's driving the team forward, and then he's doing that. If he gets tackled at any point or the ball goes out, he turns straight to the fans and jeers them up, and that goes a long way with Tottenham fans because all of us here, we've all had different players in our generations that have got us off our feet. For me, it was Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale got me up. I knew and expected. I'm sure yours is, might be Hoddle maybe or things like that. And we all had somebody. And Xavi does. He gets you off your feet because you expect something. And we're starting to see that in him now.
I mean, this team, squad of players, should be too good to go down. They are so... This is why I'm so frank out at the moment. They are so hopelessly underachieving. For the quality of players like Simmons, Romero, Van der Ven, even Porro, Udogie, Simmons, Odegaard. Yeah, we're a bit lightweight up top, and I think that's part of the problem. But
we can look at the academy as well, right? Me and Callum go and watch, and we're going to go watch the under-21s on Friday. There's probably 4 or 5 in there that can start, that can come in as well. We've got a lot of really good young players. Just need a manager that's got experience developing players that also can identify talent as well, that can come and help those players, and an ownership or at least a director of football that's fully backing that vision. And we just need a vision back and an alignment that is like this, not sort of crooked and that we seem to have every season.
The Premier League need to step up as well, Gary, don't they? I mean, like in Europe, you get 12 subs in a European game. With the amount of injuries you get now, we need 12 subs in Premier League games, right? And I'd like a rule where 2 of them subs have to be academy players or something like that. Some sort of rule works out that is that way as well. Because there's all these injuries are happening, right? The big part to play now. And I remember when Poch was at Southampton, and this has been nagging me for a long time, right? And I don't know if any research has been done.
I'm going to stop you. Spurs Express just come out. Liverpool have pulled the plug on Andy Robertson to Tottenham. That's just straight off the press from Spurs Express.
Yeah, that's Paul Joyce has just posted that out from the Times as well.
And they've pulled that kid back, you're saying, Callum, as well?
Pardon?
So can we take notice of this report? Because if they've got the other fullback back for that on loan.
Sunday Times have just reported it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would appear to be a dead duck. That's the way things going for us at the moment as a club. I'll just pull up X as well. I'm actually using my phone, which I don't normally use. I've just had some problems. Had it on your show last night, Gary, on with my iPad not picking up my microphone properly. So I'm using my phone, which I don't normally do.
So the only way that Andy Robertson apparently will leave Liverpool is if he officially hands in a transfer request. Liverpool's stance is that they don't want to lose him.
Yeah, they were okay before, but then I go, well, we'll see. We'll see if this is a
We'll see if it's
screen. We'll see. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what I was going to say though, that regarding players' welfare, with all these injuries that are happening in the game, and the game's so fast now. When Poch was at Southampton, they played the high press. They didn't have the wealth and the depth of squads that other teams have. And it got to about Christmas time, they fell away. We had the youngest team in the Premier League, right?
Just had it confirmed by one of my sources that the deal is officially off at the moment.
Fair enough. Then we move on. So And then we went a couple of seasons because these players were young, and then Kane and Son started picking up injuries. Liverpool beat us in that Champions League final. They're flying. They lost a couple of trophies under Klopp before he won that. And then they started picking up injuries for playing that way. And Man City the same. So it sort of alludes to the fact that the way football is played today, injuries are becoming more common, Gary. Does that happen at youth level?
You don't play as many. You don't play every 3 games, every 3 days, really. And you're not training to the extent that the players are now in terms of
double sessions.
Yeah, but the intensity isn't as high. I think they're a lot more. They're intense, but they're not as intense as of what a first team. They're not. They are professionals, but they're not elite professionals. They're not playing every day. I think there's a lot more not relaxing, sort of downtime. The best term I'm trying to see if I can find anything on Andy Robertson. So my mind went a bit there, but no, the elite level is the Premier League is so fast and so physical, and it's so demanding by managers like Ange Postecoglou, for instance. He's so demanding on the way that his system was to play that he probably wasn't taken into consideration the performance analysis and the fitness of these players in terms of he's pushing them too far to breaking point. And I think
even Pochettino, I mean, they had to cut back on the double sessions.
Yeah, you look at how Poch was more of a runner, wasn't he? Poch wanted the fitness. That's a different type. That's a different type of fitness, isn't it? In terms of sprinting, constant, flat out. The running over a consistent period of time is just obviously fitness. These are sprints. These are flat out sprints where you're using a different part of your muscle as a fast twitch muscle. So it's intense for these players. They are professional athletes, and they are being effectively asked to do this every few days. And there will come a time, like I think we spoke about in the Aston Villa game, didn't we? We all noticed it when the injury went down. Richarlison was desperately trying to keep himself warm, and 10 minutes later his hamstring went, and that's because he's trying to constantly keep himself at peak condition, and something's stopped, be it the weather or break.
And 10-minute VAR decisions don't help your body either.
But I think we definitely need to be into a period soon where there needs to be more substitutions or more allowance on them, because it doesn't look like we're going to get any less games. It looks like we're going to have more games. And also on top of that is travel. I know there's some of the plane. I know the planes are now a luxury, but there's still travel involved in this, and that's still tiring on the body. And on all these things add up. So it is difficult. I'm not trying to make excuses for multi-millionaires, but it does add up, unfortunately, when we're looking at it, the grand scheme of things.
There's a couple of views, and I want to get particularly Cal and Gary's view on this. One, because you've probably seen the inside of the training facilities, which I haven't, that it's so luxurious that it's made them soft. The players soft mentally is just too easy for them. And the second thing with this retractable pitch, that's actually something that's causing injuries. It's not got the give. I don't know whether that's complete and utter balls or there's some substance to it.
I've never seen our training, but I've coached at St George's Park, which is England. I've coached there. The facilities there are obviously the best facilities I've ever been at. But I've never been at Tottenham's training ground. I've coached on Sir Alf Ramsey's pitch, the biggest football pitch I've ever seen in my life. It was huge. Just I could ping a ball quite well to the. So I was coaching attack versus defence. So I was at the halfway line. I was pinging a ball out to a winger who then. So I was the coach coaching the lads, and then the attackers were going at the defence. And the extra amount of force that I had to use to get it out to a winger, I was quite surprised about. There's nothing different about the pitch. Doesn't feel different. It feels a little. If you touch it, you can feel some of the syntheticness in it, but I don't think so. The facilities there were incredible. That's where I had some time with David P. But the facilities there were fantastic. I just don't believe it. I just think it's an excuse to be used. I
know you can watch the video of the retractable pitch online.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And you see it when they were filling them in, filling the trays in. Them trays, there's 3 trays that get rolled out, 3,000 tons each tray, I think. And the earth in them's like so deep before the pitch is on and put over. I mean, I always wonder how the sprinkler heads don't hinder players at all. You know,
well, it's all sewed together. So the synthetic part of it. So synthetic is basically AstroTurf to us, right? But it's a newer version of it. That's sewed
grass and plastic, isn't it? If you say that
with grass, the grass is grown, but there is obviously the syntheticness that's sewed into it, and that water sprinkler comes up from quite far down. I think I've only ever seen someone land on a sprinkler like once. But no, I don't think it makes sense. I think it's just honestly, I just think it's too much of an overload on players. I think there's too many games in too little time, and I don't think they get enough break. And I think there's a lot of travel as well, because if you think about it, they're going to go to the World Cup and they finish at the end of July. We're going to have maybe 2 weeks, and then they're going to be in pre-season, and then it's straight in. You look at this year, the 2025, Paris Saint-Germain were in the World Club Cup final, weren't they? By mandatory, they had to have 4 weeks break. They came back for 3 or 4 days and then had to play Tottenham 2 days later in the Super Cup. Had no rest for the entire year. I get it. These are professional athletes, but tell me another professional athlete that is running and doing this that doesn't have a lot of downtime. The NFL, they break for 6 months. You look at any other tough athlete, there is a downtime. We're just getting less and less, and the travel seems to get higher and higher. And it does sound like I'm trying to make excuses. Too many injuries now. There's
too many injuries. I mean, it's about time research was done into it. It's about time more subs were allowed on the bench.
For me, I absolutely loved Teddy Sheringham growing up, and I love Teddy Sheringham. I don't ever remember Teddy Sheringham getting injured. He probably did, but because I was a kid, I didn't remember a lot of our players apart from Darren Anderton. But that felt like unusual.
Darren Anderton wasn't a sick note. He played over 400 games. This is a myth.
It felt like he was always injured because there wasn't as many injuries.
I also think with the scientific products that pitches are, Gary, you've been more near at pitches than I am, so I'm not going to get in a ring with you over that. But it's because now the pitches were heavier then and the game was slower. The grass in the situ was different, where now the design is the ball was zips, but it's quicker. And they water the pitches like mad as well, right? So I just think that is what's been conducive to increasing the whole speed of the game.
Ultimately, and I think we'll all agree this, and however many, probably it's a few thousand watching, the quality of football has decreased because we've gone to athletes rather than football players. We're looking at athletes first, and the athletes are obviously an athlete for a reason. And then when you get an actual football player, they're needing to turn themselves into an athlete rather than turning themselves into a better football player. There's so many players that I've seen that I was like unbelievable on the ball. They're not an athlete. Their physicals aren't good enough, and they don't make it. And that's kind of where we're going now.
I put the Project Spurs link up. 550, not quite the same as our 1850 last week. Maybe everyone was anticipating an announcement of the manager. But Always grateful for Gary and Cal support. Cal has message to say he said he would do work till about 9:45, and it was nearly 15:15. So that was really good of him. Well, yeah, 9:45 your time. I'm in Spain, so it's 10 here. Yeah, 9:45. I've got my timings all out. But if you are a YouTuber, please, or if you're not, even get onto YouTube and like and subscribe to Gary's channel, Project Spurs, PRJCT Spurs. It's an absolutely brilliant channel. If you're with Gary and you're on through one of his forum, please come onto YouTube as well to Spurs Diehards TTID. And if you do like and so you like what you hear, do like and subscribe. And we're here. Adrian, you want to pick it up? I'm here every Sunday night, but we have other shows too.
I'll be doing a show. We might clash with Project Spurs on Wednesday because we got the game against Frankfurt. So both those shows, mind you, every man and his dog going to be doing a show after that game because we don't know if there's going to be other breaking news apart from that game, or that game might be the sword of Damocles that falls on Frank of that game. So yeah, we're doing Wednesday. Normally we actually do the Tuesdays, but because it's a game this week in Europe, we do that. So that'll be going out at 10:15 to give us a breathing space once the game finishes, in case there's the normal mandatory 14 minutes of overtime after the game. So so we'll be going out Wednesday, and Friday we go out at 10 o'clock. That's pretty set, and like Sundays is 8. So that's it. We do 3 a week. The only other time we're going to throw an extra show in a week is if something really breaking happens, and then Ian will probably jump on and do that.
Yep.
Yeah, we do have a Facebook group as well. You can find us on XCOM. If you want to be a guest on the show, we really need to get your phone number to add you to our growing WhatsApp group, which we sort of share with Project Spurs as well. The Spurs Diehards WhatsApp group is very friendly in there. It's not toxic at all, but we need you to message us with your phone number. You can only really do that through private messaging on Facebook or XCOM. We take your number. You can be added to the group, whether you want to be a guest on a show or not. Yeah. And with that, just a big up to everyone in the chat, everyone watching on various platforms.
Yeah, absolutely.
And big up for all your questions and comments in the chat as well. Back to you, Ian.
Absolutely. Let's talk a few things about the game before we wrap up. I mean, I've just got a comment. Right, 1-0 up at 38 minutes, and you think this is really going well. Could have scored in 15 seconds. But then Gary should have been, to my mind, we should have been 3 up at half time. That game should have been out of sight. But again, poor lapse in concentration, better players, switching off at the far post. Danso's should be there. Romero's switched off. The fullbacks haven't. The fullback hasn't tucked in, and bang! Suddenly it's 1-0, and you can almost see the confidence draining out of the players.
I think the confidence and the reaction from fans as well. Definitely when you concede late on, it sucks a lot of life out of you, but gives the opposition a huge boost. We just switched off from a clearance from the goalkeeper. Romero wasn't switched on. But, it's a throw on and there's still some work to do. Xavi Simons sort of jogged back as well. I think it was Xavi Simons didn't really sort of put a challenge in, gone to the back post and they've scored. But they had an opportunity to score as well with an offside goal. That could have gone either way if they'd have been more switched on. We could have been 2 or 3 up at half time. And I've said this probably the last couple of weeks on these shows. Those are the fine margins in elite football. You switch off for a second and a player, even being 18th, 19th, 20th in the league, they're more than likely going to score. And at the moment, we're not having things going our way. We're not just getting the rub of the green really on anything at the moment, because within 15 seconds, we should have been 1-0 up. And I bet you last season, that had gone in. At the beginning of last season, it had gone in. And we're just not getting the rub of it. The luck's quite there at the moment. Maybe there's that believability in our own playing style or our personal playing. They're definitely down, those players. You can see it. You can see it in them.
Yeah. I mean, Adrian, Gary alluded to this earlier. I mean, at half time, we brought on Udogi for Porro. Udogi obviously went to left back, Spence to right back. But my comment I put, obviously when I was prepping the show earlier this evening, Spence is just not a left back.
No,
it's a square peg in a round hole.
You can do a part-time job there. I want left-footed players in left-footed positions, right-footed players in right-footed positions. That's what I want. And onto that game, the comment before about the goal. I mean, we have shown a lot of resilience in games to come back from Newcastle, Brighton, and things like that. But it's been resilience, made of our own undoing by letting in sloppy goals. Right? It has worked for us. We can defend at times. What I don't get is with defenders, if you're not sure where the trajectory of the ball's coming for a cross, then get tight. At least get tight on a player and make it difficult for them, But when that come in, we looked zonal, when the ball come in the box, right? And I'm thinking, like, how does this happen? Why do we? Some of the goals we've given away, you see them on a schoolboy field, they're really, really bad goals. You can understand it if it's like half an error, deflection off a player or something like a shot or whatever, but just on that. But I think Spencer's actually looked quite good recently. He was good against Dortmund, but he defensively, there's still questions about him. I want him on the right as competition for Porro, who I thought I thought they were back four played well against Dortmund, but he looked poor. Poor,
Yeah.
And he has played. I mean, Decky got injured after playing 40+ games last season. Porro was superhuman. He played 50 to 60 games last season or something like that. And yet he hasn't got injured. And you're all thinking, well, he's going to get injured sooner or later. He might be one of these freak players that doesn't get injured. But I don't know. No, we got the kid Sousa. He may find himself on the bench, mightn't he? Unless, I think what's more likely, actually, is you'll find VDV, if we need it, playing at left back like it does for Holland. And I think I think that's what happened. We're all right because we always got Gray, Mr. Versatility, although I like him in midfield. Like what I've seen of Gray in midfield,
Okay.
But, yeah.
Adrian, Gary wants to finish in about 15 minutes, which is absolutely fine. I don't want to drag the show on any longer than that. What he has said, though, is if anybody in the chat has got some questions for us specifically as to where we are and what have you, we'll highlight them. Gary, let me ask you a couple of questions as purely as a coach rather than a guest. One of my worries when we didn't have the ball was that the wing backs weren't getting back into defensive positions quickly enough, and the 3 should have been a 5 and wasn't a 5, so we looked too vulnerable, even against a side that was as poor as Burnley in that first half and weren't creating. The second thing, it's all very well having the 3-4-2-1, but I felt Solanke was far too isolated on too many occasions when with the players we had, we should have been pushing on more and getting 3 and 4, 5 players into the box when we sometimes only had one with the other players 20 yards behind the play.
Yeah, we're playing a right back at left wing back. It's a big difference. He gets up really well. The final ball quite isn't there because he has to keep cutting the inside, as we know, onto his right foot. But he's finding himself in unfamiliar territory and perhaps not being able to get back quite quick enough. Burnley do counter quite well. They played a 3-4-3, which in theory we should have been okay, but they counter quite well. One of the glaring things that I did notice that I don't see a lot when we play the formation that we would normally do, and we certainly didn't do it on Tuesday night, is on probably 3 or 4 occasions in the first half, both Danzo and Mickey van der Ven were on the edge of their box, which effectively left Romero on his own and maybe Basuma sitting. Now on Tuesday night against Borussia Dortmund, only one of those players was kind of going into a more advanced position. They were covering just behind the wing backs. So when we were being caught with Adeyemi, because of his pace, we were able to double up and deal with that. We weren't doing that yesterday in large spells, and we were just getting caught in those counters. As I said before, the formation works really well, and it's mainly used for overloads and overloading in certain areas. And then as a centre back, say I'm Christian Romero, I've got two options here to the side of me. I've got two options either further on in my wing backs, and I've got two options in front of me as well from my two holding players, and then the three above there can move around if I'm in trouble. So in theory, it's a lot of space and a lot of movement from those players. It's the ball can move quicker, and we were doing that. I just feel from looking at them when we went 1-1, the confidence just sapped out of them, and it took some time. And that second half was quite painful in areas. I think that there is just not a lot of confidence there. Changing in formations is fine because it happens in all teams. It's just a confidence thing at the moment, and this is why a large part of me thinks that a change needs to be made. We can use Manchester United as an example. They were starting to get results under Ruben Amorim, sparingly though, and they were slightly on the turn. But Michael Carrick has come in and changed the system. He's a fresh voice in the changing room. He's obviously a proven winner, and he's come in and he's instilled some confidence and looked at the quality around him and instilled that confidence in those players quite quickly. And I think that's where perhaps Thomas Frank is losing that at the moment, because by all means, Thomas Frank's not going to come out and do some F's and shits and fucks and all these things in press conferences, like what other managers might do, and that might get a reaction. I'm not sure where their reactions are coming from. I think a lot of the problems we're having right now is confidence.
Question from Nita for you, Gary, specifically for you. I think the question is: do you think Solanke goes too deep when he doesn't need to, or he comes too deep? I suppose that's all very well. I suppose if you think of Harry Kane, but Harry Kane always had runners coming off him, which Solanke doesn't have.
The problem at the minute is it looked like we were playing with two number 10s behind Solanke, which I really like. It was on the odd occasion you'd find that Odegaard was quite pushed out on the right wing on a number of occasions when we were in possession, which when Solanke then holds the ball up, got two midfielders in front of us, obviously in Gallagher and Basuma, but they're going to be potentially marked or in the same space as the Burnley players. Xavi Simons is relatively there, but he's probably been picked up, and Odegaard's too far out on the right, so he's limited in those options. But Harry Kane is a great example. Harry Kane will win the ball more than likely 8 out of 10. He'll look to win a foul just to settle things down a little bit. But he is an elite. He's the elite of the elite, and I think we've just been very, very lucky that we've been able to witness somebody that's able to do that, but also the strength and the skill and the technique to be able to hold a man off and in turn and then bring those players into play. Solanke's got that. He hasn't got it to the standard of what Harry Kane is, and I think it will come the more he plays. But again, he's only just come back from quite a lengthy time on the injury table, so that will come with time. But I don't think he drops too deep. No, I think you need to do that, and quite a lot of the time we need to do that is to relieve pressure, because 90% of our time is ping pong with us, and it's not good for recovery runs of our defenders, and our midfielders are just consistently bypasses. So yeah, he needs to do what he's doing. Sometimes I can get, maybe is it too deep? I'm not too sure, but there needs to be runners off him, and that just comes down to that formation.
Yeah, but Adrian, just let me put one question. I was going to bring you in on a slightly different matter, but fine. Is that partly down to, I know he changed the system, but Frank's poor coaching, that he's not, if Solanke is coming deeper, that the players around, and it can be when you're playing wing backs, the wing backs can come forward into positions on either flank, because you've still got the two holding midfield players, you've
Yes.
still got the three defenders, and you've got you've then got your two number 10s, if you like, plus your wing backs can both advance. You can create quickly a four up front easily.
Yes, if you look at the way that I talked about Romero, so Romero is the central figure. I'm on the ball as Romero. I've got two players here next to me, and they're probably traditionally on the edge of the tip points of the 18-yard box. Then you've got the wing backs when they've pushed up as what we would call them as left or right wingers. And then you've got your two centre midfielders. You might have two 10s, or you might have wingers and a central striker. We played with two 10s. So you flip it the opposite way round, and I'm Dominic Solanke. Traditionally, I should see two players in and around me. And then I know those wing backs are bombing on as well. But Odeberg stuck quite wide, which also was in space that Porro could have used.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a way, it was a 3-4. Xavi was free, and Odeberg stuck wide. It was a very fluid system. It wasn't as rigid. It just comes down to playing. You just got to keep playing it. It is a difficult system. I think it really works. And I can use Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace as an example. Yes, last year I thought that was one of the best systems in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked for him this year because he's lost the key elements to that system. But it is a very, very good system. We have the players that play that at the club and out on loan as well. We've got a number of them. Vuskovic, for instance, can come slot straight into a back three. Imagine a back three of Vuskovic on the right, Romero in the middle, Van der Ven on the left. That's a very difficult back three.
Adrian, do you want to come in? And I'm going to ask a question because I'll put it back to Barry. Hang on, Adrian. Yeah, well, no, because the question I wanted to put to you as answering Gary. I'm a Glasner fan. If it wasn't Poch, would you think Glasner could do a really good job at Tottenham with the players we've got and the system?
I want a manager who's got Spurs DNA in. I want an attack-minded manager. I mean, Glasner's done well. He's won trophies, so you can't argue with that. Even when they won the cup final, they played a counter-attacking game. To get through in early rounds, they did that as well. I've had enough of counter-attacking football, to be honest with you. I like the Poch way of playing. At least you're having a go all the time. I mean, look, what we're not doing, I mean, under Poch, everyone complained about Ange in the high line. All right, we might only have one or two there, but you would have the whole four of them virtually at times. You'd have Rose and Walker with Alderweireld and Vertonghen. They'd push up to the halfway line. I'm no coach, but you would then condense the play. So even if you lose the ball, your opposition's got to kick it long. Well, you've usually got at least one extra man, and that you recycle, you go again, you keep doing that until you get a result, which is a goal. But under Frank, I haven't got a clue what we're doing. Why, what Gary alluded to, why, when we're getting an overload on the right, the left winger isn't coming in to the edge of the penalty area, even like Johnson was doing, like he would come in if it was reversed. I don't know. Two other things that really get me going out are throw-ins are just atrocious, right? But we defend a corner, unlike Amorim when he came with Villa, he left three on the halfway line, right? And all right, as much as we criticise Vicario for his kicking and being slow to give the ball, if you've got everyone back defending a corner, you've got to wait for them to break before you catch someone's eye, to be given the ball. We should always have an out ball. Even under Ange, you'd have the two wingers hugging the touchline no matter what happened, whether it was good or bad. But we don't seem to be doing that. I mean, I just, I'm pulling my hair out some games. I'm not.
The difference with Ange's tactics that I saw is his backline was pushed up so high that the gap between the backline and the midfield two in a double pivot, they say, or a holding midfielder was very minimal. So there was easier to condense that space, which allowed us to win the ball back easier. The back line isn't pushed up as much now. It still pushes up quite high, but not as much as you would see with Ange. I think that's the biggest reason why you might not seeing that with Thomas Frank. And I agree with you. The goal against Sunderland is a huge eye-opening to what Thomas Frank plays, because that central midfield area, there was a huge square, massive square, probably like 15 yards across, that was just empty, and there was no one sitting in there.
And that was the Ange weakness, wasn't it, Gary?
And I'm not the biggest Ange fan, but he would have had at least one in that space. But the defenders would have been pushed up slightly higher, and I'm not sure if that ball would have gone through as easy as it did. But there is quite glaring things that are happening there. I honestly just think this comes down to confidence. I know that's silly to say. I just don't think they're confident in what they're being told or what they're being coached week in, week out. John Heitinger took all of last week's coaching, apparently, at the training ground. He took every session, which that surprised me a little bit, because when Thomas Frank came in, we were all so excited that he was going to come in as this really great coach, and he was bringing his team with him. And halfway through the season, we've had to go and get another coach to take these sessions. It might just be because he's new and he's taking the sessions to get used to the players, but there is something going on that we're not privy to.
So, I mean, to me, I watched the high line. I don't mind the high line when you got fast centre backs, when you got a VDV there, right? Okay, if you're not, then to me, at least have the mid block high line, because that would stop a lot of this faffing about at the back, passing the ball around the back, right? If you know, like, to me, this is just me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, if you're defending a corner, after you defended that corner, the player should know what to do. You should be running forward, right, to help your goalkeeper out, right? So even if you're a mid block, we see a lot where, in a lot of games, we do it as well. When you got the ball at the back of the goalkeeper, your opponents have always got two strikers spread on the edge of your penalty area, virtually, hoping you're going to screw up or something. To me, why aren't we adopting a tactic to push them back? To push them back, give us more space to work the ball in. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's just be down to individual viewpoints of what that coach wants. Mine are different, yours are different. It's just it comes down to individual coaching philosophies, I guess. Some get it right, some aren't. And as I said earlier, we're just not getting enough right at the moment that we can find quite glaring mistakes.
Yep. Gary, we'll wind it up there. Adrian's got a show. There'll be other things apart from his. He can maybe pick up on some of the things we haven't covered in his Frankfurt preview. You are doing a preview show on Tuesday, post match on Wednesday. Okay, I'll try and do that.
Podcast on the planet, I'll be doing one as well, right? But we do it anyway.
We'll do it anyway. Gary, thanks again, and we've mentioned the Project Spurs link. Where else can people find you if they want to hear your views?
Obviously on Twitter, just here at Gary R. Ward, just one follower away from 11,700. So that'd be quite nice if we can get one more tonight. Not that I really track it. I just had a quite quick look. Yeah,
11,000. I've got under 800, I think. So there you go. But then I'll say that you can find me at Shaggy1712. Always follow back my fellow Spurs supporters. So apart from Spurs diehards. Adrian, what about yourself? You're pretty well a diehard.
You're an admin on it. We've got a big Facebook group, but they just don't use this media, like this form of media. Most otherwise would be smashing it. But we've got, you can find Spurs Dials and XCOM as well, and that's basically it. Apart from, like I said, our WhatsApp's really by invitation. It's mature and sensible on our WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No, I just want to say big up to everyone who watches the show. Big up to those of you, if you can get over from your various platforms to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, and do the same for Gary on Project Spurs as well. that would be fantastic. Give all our videos a thumbs up on both sides as well. Yeah, and
Does help us.
and a big up to everyone who bothers to watch us and Gary on playback as well, because that all helps. All helps the algorithm. You know, we bring you good content for nothing, so we put a lot of work goes in behind the scenes. Even thinking up questions, believe it or not, it's not easy.
Now, and I tell you what, with not knowing whether Frank was going to be here or not, sometimes my shows, on a Saturday match, I'm putting my shows together on a Sunday morning and putting them to bed, and now they're being put together quite late on a Sunday to see if there's any last minute things that need to go on. Thank you, Gary. When are Project Spurs next on?
Well, I'm going to go Thursday.
Okay.
You go Thursday, okay. Adrian,
the reason why, I just think that something might happen on Thursday, so I'm going to go Thursday.
okay.
Information he's hiding. He's holding out on us.
No information. I just think Thursday will be a good time to go live
After the Frankfurt game's over, you could do a post-match show.
I'm not going to do a post-match this week. No, it's a bit too late. I think I'm going to go Thursday because we play Wednesday, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Thursday about 5 o'clock, or maybe a bit earlier if something happens. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Thursday.
Okay. I mean, certainly, I just keep my eye on various media just in case anything does break when we're on air. And certainly a couple of suggestions. Let's get Ryan Mason, and at least he's got our DNA, which is something that you've talked about, Adrian. And then with Poch in the summer, I think there's a lot. Look, there's a lot in that. But anyway. Some thanks from thanks to all of you in the chat. Jimmy saying thanks. BB Knight, Brian, thank you. Anita, absolutely. Look, it's a pleasure doing this. It's a pleasure doing this because you seem to enjoy what we do, and that's why we do it. At the end of the day, yeah, we've got egos, but if we're entertaining you guys in the chat and watching, then it's all worth it. I'll play out with the end music. We'll see you on Tuesday.
A new bit. I'll put a different song in this time. Put a different one
on Wednesday. Yeah, and okay. I'll be back next Sunday, and look out for Gary. Gary's always got a great show on Thursday. Thursday, sometime during the day or evening. As we say, and it's getting harder. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. Lily white and baby blue.